There we go. Did everything unclick? Okay, cool. I pressed the buttons and thank you. I pressed the buttons and again, all of them deeper. I think I just needed to not press them all at once because I go. Button one at time. Move slow. Hi everybody, how are we doing today?
Hi.
Oh.
Why are you holding your nose?
Yeah, no.
I don't know. Will started it, so I joined.
I'm a sheeple.
All right, thanks everybody. Thank you for joining me in that exercise. You have all been categorized now. Thank you.
You've joined my ranks.
The cataloging has begun.
Pick my nose, so it's all good. Anyways. So yeah, hi, how we doing? Good?
Yeah. Right now.
Hanging in there.
Hanging in there, hanging out there? Will, you look very warm. Are you very warm?
I'm incredibly warm I live in Canada. I live in Victoria. It's not warm right now, but my apartment is just really hot because it's
They don't
just
have AC in Canada because they barely ever need it.
No, we do. We do. I don't though, because I barely ever need it. I'm an arrogant asshole and I didn't get it. And yeah, now I'm just really warm. There's just a ton of sun coming into my apartment right now because I'm west facing. So this time of day, just nightmarish for heat. The whole day I've been like wearing just like pants and a shirt and like a sweater on top, like genuinely.
That's your problem
this morning.
That's your problem. Just go naked. Just
I am right now.
But I was gonna say
this is my skin. I'm just very pale.
I was gonna say, because you look so warm, are you wearing just a t-shirt right now? Is that what you?
Yeah, there's no pants going on. I just told Josh and Mallory that I was going and taking my pants off.
Oh, are we doing pantsless crew? Okay, wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
You think I have pants?
I'm already not wearing pants.
Yeah.
I am wearing shorts and
I'm wearing
fishnets though.
I'm wearing shorts too.
I am now wearing shorts as well. It's but yeah.
After I became a dad, I started wearing those cargo shorts with like the 16 extra pockets because I'm
You
like,
need the pockets.
you need the pockets, man.
I'm wearing booty shorts. Like they're my new thing. I
There you go.
love them.
Doxy's new thing is the old thing from the 90s. All right.
There
Yes.
you go. I
should-
am currently wearing workout shorts because I don't own any other shorts.
Yeah, me too. I actually bought clothes just to start running here.
Yeah.
So I have like, I don't have regular shorts. Like
Yeah,
in
just
Florida,
running shorts,
you
right?
just don't go outside. And if you do, you go from the house to the car immediately.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Oh,
That
I
scared
love the background.
out
I
of
love
me.
the background, Scott.
Holy
Wow.
I
shit!
was
That
not
scared me.
prepared, but I like it. I like it a lot.
That was
What?
amazing.
Yeah.
what?
Oh, what? Yeah, like nothing happened.
that really got me, to be fair.
That
I was
is
like, dude,
really
there's a guy in
hilarious.
your behind. Oh.
I was like, are we about to see the fabled Brit?
No. Oh
The
no,
answer
that
is-
guy, he's a douche. Don't mind him.
Yes, we know.
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
yeah. No, we recognized him. Yeah.
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 Anyways,
So
So,
gets a
um,
fancy
to work
green
out those
screen.
calves, honestly. You know.
I just love the fact that he gets a fancy green screen to show his background.
Yeah.
So it's
no, you don't understand. Rory wanted to play in my office today, so I was like, okay, listen, there's a button. If you hide under my desk and you press that button when I say, you could press the button, and we could do some really cool things. You know, we could take turns. Sometimes I'll press the button and sometimes you do. It'll be awesome.
That's awesome.
that is really cute. I would love to have that space. I miss space.
Space is really nice. It is important to be able to have space, because you know, who knows what you're gonna be able to do with it when you have it.
It's
Yeah,
so
who knows?
distracting, Scott.
Who
That's
knows?
so
It's
distracting.
incredibly distracting. Oh. I mean, I'm just over here in my bachelor-sized apartment here, and
Yeah. But at least you have it to you. There's 3 of us in this.
oh no, there's
thing.
12 people who live here with me.
Oh.
Did I tell you that? Yeah, no, I share this space with 12 people. That's
You guys sleep on top of each other, just like
yeah.
stacked.
Well, we have bunk beds, but
Oh.
yeah.
It's less fun though. You know?
Well, the bunk beds are
style.
only like they're bottomless. I don't know if you're familiar with bottomless bunk beds, but
Actually, I'm not. What?
so you know, there's just a space where your bottom can hang down, so that you know, and you're only a few inches away from each other. So you know, it's just a nice, good old.
Wait, Welcome to our gay ass podcast, everyone.
Also, if you like Lego,
We're being super gay.
I mean,
I like
if by
it.
gay you mean happy, I'm pretty happy.
yeah, no, but
I'm good both ways.
if you're familiar with Lego, it's
I
basically
don't think I've done anything homosexual. If somebody wants to take me up on an offer, I might be able to help them out.
Oh yeah, no, you fell asleep in the bed before you realized what was happening. That's fair. Over at Doxy's bed. Yeah.
You know, I was sore the next
Yeah.
day.
I don't know how that happened.
The real reason his calves hurt.
Oh.
It's weird.
I've dated girls. There, we've made it full circle.
Oh man.
Joey, we've already been dating on Patreon for a while, okay? Like pretty much every Patreon video is me flirting with you. So
I mean, to be fair, guys, you guys don't know this because it was on Patreon, but me and Scott did it in one of the games.
Ooh.
wait, did we?
Yeah.
It wasn't very
Got
memorable then.
kissed in a
The
game
smack, the
outside.
butt smack guy.
Wowza. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Will.
It's just-
Will
there's so
did a
many.
wowza as well.
There's so many that Scott can't remember me. Oh man.
Sorry.
Well, yeah,
I only kissed him in a game. Actually, he kissed me in a game.
that's true.
Me?
Wait, I'm
let's
pretty
be
sure
real.
I remember session
Hold
zero.
on.
game?
Hold on. There were a
I
lot of
was
things happening with
Janie,
Chris Ellen.
and I don't remember what your character's name was.
Wait, what game? Your game? You were playing who?
Kids on Bikes. I was playing Janie, the little.
Oh, I remember
yeah, I
that.
remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was legit. That was full on. Yeah.
Your character was a douche, Scott.
What? Oh,
No,
I
he was-
He was such a. Yeah, he was.
He was very ADD.
Well.
Sorry, what are we talking about?
Scott. What? Wait, we did?
I don't know.
Oh my god. We
Oh,
talked about
poor
our game,
Joey.
Maybe Throne Keeper. Let's go.
That doesn't seem right. That doesn't
My
seem
calf
like
is
what
so
we're doing
tight.
today.
It hurts so much.
All right, so my question about focuses for leveling up
Sure.
is we're all supposed to pick one that is off our primary because it's an odd number. And I was wondering, I'm kind of pushing Laszlo into like doing forgeries. So I was wondering if calligraphy, because they don't have like a forgery skill. But like I could take
Wait,
calligraphy.
isn't there?
or-
I'm pretty sure there actually was a forgery.
No, there's ledgerming, which is kind of like it, but it's more dexterity, like picking pockets and stuff.
Oh god.
Then there's cartography and cryptology.
Did we just use? We used something from intelligence before for that, didn't we?
Yeah, I
Like
think we.
scribing or some shit like that.
I thought it was just writing. But
It
I
might
might
have
be-
just been writing.
I might be wrong.
It is writing. There is a writing. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
well,
I'm trying
take
to
that.
find.
So.
If we go intelligence, so let me just read this real quick. So, handle, investigative, persuasion, seduction, calligraphy, ledgerman. Both of those could be for different reasons. Ledgerman's more like thievery stuff.
Picking
like-
pockets
Yeah, picking
and like
pockets. Exactly.
sleight of hand shit. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's called
Intelligence,
trade.
arcane brewery, cryptography, culture engineering, historical lore. Yeah, it looks like there isn't necessarily a specific one writing. So you're trying to do for what one specifically, sir? Forgery?
I was thinking like forging stuff because it has come up in our campaign before. Or if we can't like settle on one that fits that perfectly, if crafting, if you want to get into magical crafting. But we never really talked about magical crafting yet, so I didn't want to like push that
Isn't there?
until we had
There's
rules.
actually rules for magical crafting, is there?
Yeah, you hated them
Oh.
because they were like temporary. You can only make temporary.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Items.
it's garbage. Yeah.
Well, we have broached the conversation of magical crafting briefly around. Well, it was actually counter magical crafting specifically. We
Mhm.
talked about the materials for making Oscar a shield, for example, out of material that would be able to
Yep.
resist magics, which is kind of magical in a weird sense, but you know.
Well, it's
like-
magic, anti-magic, or some bullshit.
yeah.
don't wanna-
I don't even remember how that works in this system.
It was the
but-
metal that let
Yeah.
it like absorb an extreme amount of magic without like affecting it. Because like what's his face melted your shield.
Oh yeah, I have no
Aurora.
idea what the metal actually. We just were told about the broad
Aurorum.
metal itself. Aurorum.
Yeah.
We weren't
Her
actually.
name
told
is
about any of it.
Chrysalin. I'm sorry.
No. Sorry, her name is Luthira. I think you've been not listening to the stories of Luthira and her wine that doesn't exist traveling around Yovance. But no, like so we didn't actually learn about anything of the properties of the metal other than that it was a counter to magic generally.
Yep.
Right? So I mean we have broached the topic of magical craft.
But I'm talking about like literally crafting like a wand for me to use or something like that, or scrolls or something. And I didn't know if we wanted to get into that because I know when you get into crafting in these games, they usually take a lot of time, and our campaigns don't normally provide us with an extended amount of downtime. So I don't know if it's something I should push for. I mean, I'm basing it off of what you said.
Well, what kind of stuff would you be wanting to craft? Because like something like scrolls is usually relatively quick. Whereas if you're like, I want to make me a staff, it's like, whoa, that's way more power. And
yeah, well, the idea first came up when we talked about the Gish sword.
Yep.
That I have.
Yep.
That is imbued with magic and stuff. And I was thinking about imbuing it in something in there with like something maybe like a counter spell or some kind of protective spell that I wanted to give to Chryselen, because she's usually on her own. Well, at the time she was on her own and got ambushed. So that was my original idea, but we never really got into like, how do you want to do it? So I don't know if crafting would cover it or if it's something that, because I would think it's more intelligence based or willpower, since it's magic, but
there isn't really a willpower discipline for that, for sure. Like there's no focus for that in willpower, because there's 4 willpower focuses. Like it's just
right now I'm fine taking lock picking or something to forge, but it's something that if we want to get into crafting, we should talk about.
2 things real quick. 1, Will, you do sound a little quiet. And 2, Oklo, the multi-wands glue a bunch together. Funny enough, there's actually something called a wand bracer, I think it's called, in Pathfinder. It's literally like a bracer. We hold a wand and it becomes like a small little stick. I think you could have like 3 or 4 of them around the bracer.
We talked about it.
Yeah, but I don't think on stream before.
No.
And so it actually allows you to hold a wand in your hand, but still have access to the other 4 that are right there as well. So you actually have access to all the wands. Kind of, it's a pretty cool thing that one could have. Anyways, so the crafting thing. So do you have, aside from like the sword and things like that, because something like that where it's already been primed, I think that'd be a lot easier. So let me change my question. Is it something that you would want to do a lot more often and have it as a central focus for the characters? Or one of those things where it's like, no, like, just occasionally when something kind of like pops up, like, there should be badass, I'd like to just know how to go about doing that.
I don't think Laszlo is a creator. I think of him as more of a person that studies and tries to understand. No, he won't. I think of it more as like trying to understand what makes magic stuff work, less about like trying to make it, like recreate it. But I don't know. Honestly, I'm trying not to plan too far ahead because I'm trying to base them off of what like we were doing at the time. But I think right now at this level we can talk about crafting later. I think it's more beneficial for him to take like lock picking, or if calligraphy would be for forging. I don't know.
What do you guys weigh in? What do you think for forging?
I would definitely agree with calligraphy. I feel like, well, that depends on your world, though, doesn't it?
It does.
Because
it's a systems thing. Because usually forging is its own like skill or built into something else. This system, it's not. So I feel like calligraphy is what we actually used last time.
I think so too. I think we did calligraphy and writing.
The issue is calligraphy is a dexterity thing. Intelligence is it's not an intelligence thing. See, forging, the phrasing of a document is intelligence, but the actual handwriting is a dexterity thing. And that's the problem, is like when you were talking about forging, it's like, what aspect are you referring to? Dexterity feels wrong if you're talking about falsifying the sound of a document versus the actual handwriting of the document.
Wasn't it? We used my intelligence and your writing.
You did, well, I think you did the writing check because we did 2 checks. And then I did the check to actually write it out, and I summoned the ghost to help me. So we did 2 checks.
The intelligence writing check was what Chris Ellen did, and then there was I don't know what check it was that you made for the actual.
I don't remember. I want to
might have
say
been
it was a
calligraphy.
flat dexterity, just because
Might have been.
I didn't have it anyways. And
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like we're off the same mindset. So I'd be fine with calligraphy being that aspect of forging, and then for the other aspect of forging, being just whatever. So what are you concerned about forging in the future? Because it kind of, it sounds like we're all almost talking about the same thing. What are we forging? That's one check, and how good is the handwriting of the forge? That's a separate check. It sounds like we're all kind of agreeing on for this system.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so what were you hoping to be able to be skilled at forging?
I can't do intelligence because it's a primary set and it's an odd skill level. So I have to do dexterity or communication or something like that.
Why do you see your character focusing on this? And like what avenue? Sorry.
I just think it's something like we've been trying to be very subvertive and trying to manipulate and get. We've constantly talked about trying to get Chris Ellen into the scene, right? And we know from experience that the only way that these people care about paperwork and documentation and proving shit. So I think that my character would be like, well, I need to learn how to assist her better because that's what my guy does. Besides, walking on her while she's bathing. I did that. Jesus, are you here during these games?
No, he's not. He just vanishes. I mean, to be fair, I vanish sometimes, and just when you two are hanging out.
All right. Well, you guys are creepy. So, what was I saying?
I was talking to Tyler. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So I'll either go with calligraphy or. I'm tempted to go with stealth because he's like, don't see me. Everyone wants to kill me.
That genuinely makes sense, but I don't know.
I think you should follow your heart.
Follow my heart.
Whichever one you want worse. Whichever one is going to be more
seduction.
fun for you.
So seduction.
I want to double focus in riding.
Yeah.
The big question is, Josh, do you see your character continuing to go down that path, or do you see that as being like, maybe I should go that path? While we've done it, we probably will do it again. It's not necessarily a focus of.
Yeah. See, I think so the reason I was thinking forgery first was because that's closest to what he normally did. He normally did studying and reading books and deciphering things. That was what he used to do, versus pushing for like stealth or lock picking, because that's more of like survival traits that he would have picked up less than actually like he wasn't trained to do that. That's not like the thing that he does. But given our last fight, I don't know, he might not want to be seen anymore because that was bad. So I don't know. Someone else talk. Let me think.
So
I already leveled up my character.
Yes, I mean same here. But here's the thing. I can talk about it a little bit. I just as a note, I took the leadership focus because I do see Oscar going down that route in the future, and put a point in communication, so he's no longer a -1. He's a 0.
That's awesome. That's a 3-point swing.
It's a 3-point swing on leadership, so it's very good. That's essentially what I did with Oscar this level. I couldn't really take any talents that would also help that at this point, just because there are limitations on a lot of the communication ones that require you to have a minimum of 2. So it's going to be a bit before I can get anything like that, but like 4 levels. But for now, at least getting that 3-point swing was pretty good. And in 2 levels, it'll be another point up, because that'll be what I put my next off point on, because I felt like he is trying to be better at that. And I kind of, over the course of the time down, he's going to be spending a lot of time with Chris Ellen working on like just communication, not like being amazing at it, but more like taking pointers of like what she does and then taking it into account for what he does in terms of military command and stuff, because he's had that aspect, but actually translating that into more
flirt with your men.
Right, flirt with my men. Yeah. Be gay, do crime, and everything will be fine. But yeah, so putting a little bit more of a focus in communication over the next while, because that's definitely something that Oscar has realized is one of his weak points, and it's something he wants to improve on. So
I mean, it was very clearly identified over and over and over again throughout the season, so it makes sense that you would be like, Chris, meat talk good, huh? And she's like, oh, sweet boy, please come with me.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach you a thing or two.
Like,
She
I don't
has
know.
that big teacher energy, doesn't she?
She does a little bit, which is probably why Laszlo is so attracted to her. I'm not kidding. I know that sounded like a joke, but I mean that.
But that like completely caught me off guard. That was really good. Oh, that was good.
What was the name of the thing I took? I forgot to write it down.
Ecstasy.
No, we talked about this. You took, because it was a... what are your no, you took an intelligence focus because intelligence isn't one of your primaries, right?
Okay, so I'm talking about the power. I forgot to write down the name of the
your power
that I took. I took navigation intelligence.
Yes.
My power, I have the description of it. I forgot to write down the name of it.
What's the description?
1 second. I have to make a joke in chat.
Okay.
All right. You understand how to navigate the waters of social situations. You choose one of the following communication focuses.
You took intrigue.
Intrigue. Thank you.
You're welcome. Control F is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. I just don't have the book open.
Yep. No, that's fair. It's in the core book. It's on page 44 if you need it. You are a master of secrets. Is how it starts, which I really like. Yeah, no, the novice is good for that too. It's since you didn't finish reading it. Do you want to read it, or do you want me to read the rest since I have it open?
Go nuts. I'm gonna go
nuts?
take care of this spiky ass booger.
Okay, well, let's start off again with Chris Ellen is a master of secrets, clearly, as you can see by the secret she just kept from us. But you understand how to navigate the waters of social situations. Choose one of the following communication focuses: etiquette, deception, or seduction. If you fail a communication test with your chosen focus, you can re-roll it, but you must keep the result of the second roll. And I know she took deception on that, not seduction, much to my chagrin.
So sorry, you know that she took deception?
I do know she took deception
Okay.
rather than seduction. And I think her reasoning for that is because she's good enough at seduction already.
Yeah, well, she's been dealing with a bunch of peons, right? So they're all going to be like, yes, pretty lady. Yeah. You guys haven't had to deal with persons of significance, which might be a little bit more resistance to being come on to. So,
yes. But I think she's also moving away from focusing so much on being the, I don't want to speak for her necessarily, but, actually, you know what? Yeah, that's a good point. Mallory, when you are back here, hello, yes, hello,
Hi,
welcome
howdy.
back. Hi, hello. Why did you take deception instead of seduction?
Because I couldn't take seduction.
No.
That's a
As
communication.
As your part of intrigue, you were able to choose etiquette, deception, or seduction. And I remember you did not take seduction.
Because I'm going to take seduction on my next level. Like as a stat bonus. Remember?
The focus.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Oh,
Gonna
but you
put
can
a
get
swing
it for
another
free next level.
Yes.
Gotcha. That makes sense, actually. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a
So-
really good point.
Spreading the stats, I guess. There you go.
Gotcha. Yeah, she's just mapping out her progress. It's annoying that you have to map out your progress rather than just do it how you want to, but that's just how almost every TTRPG works.
Yeah.
You know, or even video game works. Just kind of, because if you don't map it early, you can't do it later on. Unless you spend enough gold that you get along the way, or astral diamonds to respec.
That's one of
what I
the
like
things
about
that I love
Divinity.
about Divinity.
Divinity,
Is that you can
yeah.
respec for free anytime.
Any fucking time you want. It's great.
Once
Just
you have the boat. Anyway.
First act you can't, but any act after that you're good.
But all right, cool. So and we talked about the leveling up or whatever. So one of the things that we wanted to go over as well for your characters is obviously kind of going into season 2, and the people on Patreon know this already. They're going to start being able to make NPCs, to introduce NPCs into the campaign. They're able to provide different types of aid and whatnot. They're going to come in different ways. You know what I mean? Because of your 3 characters' very varied backgrounds, you can imagine these can come in very varied ways, whether they be military mentors or even people that look up to Oscar or former like comrades at arms that he served with. Kind of like
we should
people.
call them sponsors.
Wait, you mean call what sponsor? Sorry.
NPCs that people make.
Oh, I call them POI, persons of interest, as usually I call them. Because in Kingmaker, they could be sponsors for your campaign. Because in Kingmaker, they're advisors, because it's literally advisors to the throne. And in Regicide, they're what are they called? Contacts, because they're terrible people on that campaign. So need somebody
Contacts is actually not a bad name for it for us either.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually kind of what people were talking about ages ago, before your campaign even got session 1. Was would it be contacts for them? And so you can imagine what kind of people come from Oscar's background, from Doxy's background. You can imagine the kind of people that come from either former very happy, almost like Durat that you met beforehand, that kind of helped you out by throwing those bullets at the yeah. So either former clients or even other people, other sisters and brothers of your house. That could actually work as well as other jewels. And then for Josh's background, I mean, Josh has lots of friends from the past. Don't you, Josh?
They're all so friendly and helpful.
To be fair,
I'm really excited for all of the contacts from the Arcane Congress that decide to switch sides because of Patreon.
Oh, I could turn them down. Like, that concept makes no sense. Like, actually, I want a sponsor for Josen. Josen actually realized that. He's just a great guy.
I'm really hoping that there will at least be one trader from the Arcane Congress who decides to show their ugly hand, who we're able to turn. That'd be nice. A little success every now and then would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be really neat, wouldn't it?
That'd be pretty great. I'd like that.
To be fair, there was another on my crew that we don't know what happened to him. And the guy said, Josen's the only survivor. So something happened to that guy. We don't know.
No, he dead. Let's be honest. He's dead.
So
I did have a really good luck with Lady Grey, though.
That's true. That's true.
Too bad that's all up in literal flames.
Oh, I deleted that image as a background. Oh, it's not like I have a green screen up at the moment anyways, so,
I can, tell that you have a green screen up, but only because I know now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I really like that.
Right? Like,
man, that floating bar. Now what you need to have an image where you are
don't stand up. Don't stand up. It'll just be crotch. Don't do it.
Do it.
Or do it.
Do it.
Do it now.
Hey, someone, we should oppose a picture of him.
Yeah. What you need now is you need layers. So you need to have you need to do a green screen photo of your green screen being halfway down with the green screen already showing this image, so that you can do a weird half and half where you split your body into.
I have already decided I'm gonna do a lot more. I'm gonna have a lot more fun with it.
Look, I have lots of ideas. I'll send you drafts.
All right, there you go.
And the bill.
And well, yeah, I do charge.
Well, and you have to, just because we're playing with it at the moment, focus, of course, on the game. Because I had Rory helping me record these because it's just fun to play with that kind of stuff with her because she's a kid and it looks like magic. I had to have her put on the Harry Potter invisibility cloak. So.
Yeah.
So I'll show you 1 second.
So for people just joining, if you're wondering what's going on today, this is an in-between season kind of slow down, catch up.
Refocus.
Take a breather.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Oh, this is the bad one. Oh, it's the one that works terribly. Other one.
It actually looks just like the movie.
Yeah. He doesn't realize this because he cannot hear us, but that was the quality of the visual effects from slightly worse.
Crazy and wrong.
No, but look.
Yeah, that was funny.
It was very good,
he
though.
He can't hear.
No.
Yeah, he can't hear us.
Just give him the good old double thumbs up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's fun for a 4.5-year-old, right? Like, I won't lie, I had a lot of fun. But it's fun, it's fun for a kid. She's like, I'm visiting my floating head.
It's fun for an adult. Are you kidding me?
That's
It's
pretty
like
cool.
even just having
Yeah.
a webcam, I love sitting here sometimes and just like making silly faces and laughing at myself.
Yeah.
Like legit.
Sometimes I just sit in front of my webcam with my microphone in front of me and do funny voices for a while and see what faces I make while I'm doing them, and I find it really entertaining. So, you know.
Oh, and Sel, or whoever else said it, it's my sister-in-law, my older brother's wife made it for me. So she has like one of those press things.
It's really
and it
cool.
has glittery.
Very
I don't know if you
nice.
can see on stream.
Yeah, oh yeah,
easily.
it shows.
Yeah,
What is it
for
called?
you
Cricket.
guys. Huh?
I think it's called Cricket. My wife was gonna get one.
No, and then
The-
it says,
Oh, very
Presser
nice.
thing.
I love the sparkles.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Yeah,
I don't lie.
it's
I
good.
was like, oh, that's so cool. It's almost like tar. Like how tar sparkles. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sparkly. Anyways.
Yeah, I love that. It
Yeah.
reminds me of roof shingles.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That's exactly what, of course, that's where my brain went because I'm like, oh, no.
Oh, I was thinking of like newly paved roads,
Yeah.
like when they have the black tar on it.
Yeah.
Do they tar roofs? Is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a really good
I just-
question, Sel. There may or may not be somebody working on that with me at the moment, but I am a very, very busy person. It's very difficult for me to have conversations with people that need to talk to me. So,
Yeah.
sorry.
This is the only time we all get to talk. We don't talk to Scott at all at any other point.
On rare occasion, Doxy and I do, and Josh is always in chat on Discord, so I talk to Josh.
Unfortunately, I am just as busy as Scott is, so he and I barely ever get to talk.
Well, it's also harder for you because by the time you're ready to talk, we're all like, it's bedtime.
That's true.
It's not
I am
3
on
in
the
the
West Coast. Yeah.
No, okay, I was giving you the benefit of the doubt. You're supposed to be getting better.
He's not.
No.
All right, cool. Let's get back to the game. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if I told you guys this, but the week of, I've mentioned it on other campaigns before, but just to be clear, I think it's the 30th. I think it's the week of the 30th. I'm actually going to be out of town. I'm going to be in Maine, and I'm not doing any streams that week. So just so you guys are aware.
I believe you told us that.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure
Yeah.
You
it's known.
said something.
Yeah.
I don't remember what week it was. I just remember you saying that you were taking a vacation, and I got really excited for you that you were taking a vacation.
Okay, yeah,
and
it
that
was you
weren't gonna
guys.
be
You are
doing
right.
anything.
Because you actually
Yeah.
got very emotive. Yeah.
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 And I don't remember what date you said because I'm not good with dates in general. But I remembered that you're taking a vacation, and I got really excited for you.
Yeah. Because I'm taking a vacation from everything. But back to the game.
Yes.
Done with the green screen play for now. What was I saying? The brain. Sorry, brain's not working. Oh, so the idea of the contacts. I don't know what kind of stuff can come from Josh's background, but there are very, very creative people that choose to support in that way, and so we'll see what kind of cool stuff comes out. I'm just excited because I never get to introduce them. It like gives a huge boon to the party, so it's gonna be cool. But as for boons to the party, or even like the party's direction, obviously last season ended kind of it started off one way, went a whole path down the middle, and then ended very like I don't think any of us expected to end the way that it did. It's just kind of like one thing leads to another, and we all just kind of like ride the snowball together. And so it definitely ended in a very interesting way. So I'm curious what the actual like path the party has is. It's been last week was like you're obviously very invested into the moment. It's had a week for it to kind of like sit in the back of your brain, and then kind of like pulling it back up now. If your thoughts are the same, if they should change. I'm gonna pull us over to the map, and it looks like Doxy's about to say something.
Yeah, if I can be 1,000% honest,
Shoot.
I feel like the bad things that happen to us, either when we have very bad luck or we have like a trump card hit us, I think that has derailed us a lot worse than it really feels like. Like we are unable to make money, we are unable to make progress because just like the timing on this stuff has been like handpicked by Loki himself. You know what I mean? It's been brutal. Like it feels like we are up against this gargantuan undoable task because we haven't been able to make progress.
And also
So-
because we kind of are. though? Like the task that we were set is gargantuan, right? Like,
It
then
is
on top
gargantuan,
of that, right?
but it's not undoable. Especially,
I mean, the original task isn't gargantuan. The task we took on is, because we decided we don't want to help slavers. We want to free these people. Blah 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 blah. Right? The original task was just bolster. It was just supposed to be bolster them. Is help them to hold the line better. That was our only goal. And then
that's still a gargantuan task. It's not undoable though. It's not unachievable, right? It's far less unachievable than a slave revolt.
I mean, yeah, the slave. I mean, I get it. Like, I wouldn't want to do the original task. To be honest with you, it's kind of shitty to be like, yeah, you know, victory.
I would
but...
feel like my soul needs a shower every time.
Yeah.
Playing for the night. So also, I think that we need to figure out a way to like, it sucks because like, how do you combat that, right?
Yeah. I think
but we need to figure out a way to.
My take on it all is that we just need to be way more aggressive. We've been very cautious in every step we take forward. We've been like, we should check this out, we should check this out, we should do all these things. I think we had a good plan to get you into the main circles in the main city, but then we got sidetracked for like 2 months in one town.
Well, that was bad rolls and trump cards though.
Well, yeah, but we could have left. We literally could have left at any time, and we didn't because we wanted to finish it. But then we would have had
nothing to show for our time there.
We don't
when we were
now.
On our way. Not necessarily. She's.
I mean, Lady Grey wouldn't be dead.
She's not.
But Lady Grey wouldn't have been dead if we just like that night when they were attacked.
Yeah, but now
we
she's a
just
contact
left.
and an ally.
I mean, I think she was before,
which is
but
invaluable.
I hope. I hope. I don't trust her.
We put her in place in charge of. I trust her. I fully trust her. I don't think that she would, especially if we're able to rise ranks, she's going to want to be on our good side.
But I just think in the end, I think we just need to be more aggressive, like make a plan and go for it and not be like, oh, well, let's try to make sure we're 100% before we go through the plan. I think we should shoot for 75%, sure, kind of thing.
I mean, you know my stance on these things. Point me in a direction, I will just launch myself at it. That's, you know, for Oscar, that's his character. He's that did not look pleasant.
No, it has a tag under it. And I was like,
gotcha. But yeah, you point me in a direction. Like that's his, you know, he does think about it. He does question it. He will, you know, he will put that thought in, but simultaneously, like, you know, he trusts the two of you. Like he trusts Chrisellen and Laszlo at this point. So like you give him a direction, he will go and he will do it. Right. So it's, you know, you're not going to have a hard sell for Oscar in terms of getting him to just act. But the problem is like Oscar is absolutely useless in the majority of the tasks that we're doing. And I'm just waiting around until combat comes. Right. Like that's one of the biggest things.
I mean,
that's why I've upgraded my communication and everything, right? Like it's just, you know, trying.
It's the same thing with Laszlo. He's a researcher, right?
Yeah, Oscar's like support. Combat, and then when you guys are dealing with the what are they called? When you're dealing with the all the Arcane Congress stuff, he can like research and give opinions and so on and so forth and prepare for that. But even that's an extension of combat. Right? That's the out of combat combat, right?
That's so. Exactly. Yeah. and so, you know, like it's great, but simultaneously, like my role is so incredibly specific, and I know you feel the same about Laszlo to some extent here, Josh. But you know, with research, there is, you know, there's more you can do to help Chrisellen, whereas for Oscar, it's just like, yeah, just let me know when you need me to stab somebody, and I will do it. I will stab them good.
It's true on both fronts, right? It's it depends on what the situation brings. Like Laszlo could be super helpful in a library full of things, but if we're in the middle of town that doesn't have anything, I'm just like, okay, I'll look through this guy's paperwork. Like, or I mean, you know,
I just think like next level, I should take the crafting focus and just start building doors for a living, and start becoming a woodworker. And then when you guys need me, I'll be making money.
Maybe we'll be able to make fucking money.
That's I'll become a traveling tradesperson. I can be our income, and you guys do all the research you need to do, and then you let me know when someone needs a stabbing, and then I can come and help with that too. I'll be your bankroller.
you could get a proficiency in like what is it?
In a lathe.
Is it called a wood lathe?
Yeah,
A manual?
wood lathe. Yeah, manual wood lathe.
You get proficiency in it. You just attack people with that.
Oh no! That's just like taking a 6th grader to someone's face.
Slow death. That's horrible.
Oh,
They're
no,
like, I got a
hate
shield.
that.
Soon you won't.
Give me a few minutes, and it's gonna be an half. Just around 20 rounds.
Get my potato peeler.
Adamantine lathe.
You know why
Adamantine
potato
lathe. Come
peelers
on.
have the points
Stop
on
it! Stop! Nope, I don't care.
it's to get the eyes out of the potato. You know where the sprouts are, right? It's to
Yeah, I watched I read The Martian. That was like super useful to know that.
It's just to pop the eyes
You
out.
have to talk about literally anything else. Literally anything else. Literally.
So anyways,
Literally.
I think I'm gonna become a woodworker.
Okay, all right.
You know.
I'll get into jewelry, and we could call ourselves like the Wooden Jewels.
Hold on, why don't we just completely abandon all quests and just become tradespeople? Why don't we just set up in Brintel? There seems to be a booming economy there. Like, genuinely, why don't we just set up in Brintel and start making money? Like,
It's Brintel actually has. Yep, you are correct. That's the one that had a lot of money seems to be coming through there. Mm-hmm.
I have my notes.
You just find somebody to fucking marry me easy. Like,
there you go.
I actually, I agree with Doxy though. Like having the money is a big boon by itself because we were always kind of like, oh, what can we do? Our
we can't just
like shit. We can't walk into this
we need
corner.
to split up the money so that things like being robbed are a non.
Oh, you mean like
hopefully being robbed isn't a thing that happens regularly, right? Like,
I mean, with Oscar around.
Part of the reason why that was even an issue is because you guys were undercover. When you walk around not undercover, you have a lot more presence to you that people don't really want to mess with. You know what I mean? And Josh, I feel really bad because like you fixed your sound issue. There's no more crackling, no popping. But now the internet makes you jumpy.
Yeah, it's Wi-Fi. I hate it.
Oh, you can't hardline? That sucks.
No.
I'm sorry, man. I mean,
I have a really powerful antenna. But
your sound for the most part does not like skip or jump or anything like that. But it's funny because like you're.
Oh no, that's how I look. I just move.
Oh, that's true. He's just a phase beast.
It's funny how sometimes what it is you just move around in different ways, and then all of a sudden you see you all.
This is actually.
See, he's just getting struck by lightning. He's just getting struck by lightning and just.
This is just a lifelike puppet, and there's like someone like I have a hand up my butt.
Right up the butt, and then.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. So how much gold do we have?
How much gold do you guys have?
Can we sell the book finally? Can we sell the fucking book finally?
Yeah, it's one of those things that we can handle during the because this is pre-season 2, so we're gonna handle that stupid shit. So again,
a god chest has to be worth a lot.
You guys are looking to pick up in Brintel for the next session, the start of season 2, right?
Yeah.
And so the cool thing about that is we can just say, yeah, you sold the book while you're in Brintel. So the important thing, so we'll take care of the money thing, and we'll take care of selling the book momentarily because there's actually a lot of value to that. But before we do so, obviously, Josh, we need to go over the rules thing that we cared to about your character and spells. Though I understand that's an Arcane Congress book. And then, so for the idea is your characters is your plan when you don't know when you converse with the queen or at least whoever it is she sends to speak with you. Is your plan still to try to aid enslave rebellion? Because now that you know that there is a rebellion happening, can I show it on this map? Kind of like in this, let me change the other map and I can throw you guys over there too. Yeah, over to this map here. So over in this region here, let me zoom up a bunch. So it's this region here really, is where you're hearing the slave rebellion coming from. Are you guys focused on the area so you can see where I'm pinging in your roll 20?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking on stream because it's just fucking hard for me to use the map in roll 20.
Oh, I'm sorry. That sucks.
Okay. It's because I'm stupid, not because of anything you're doing.
I mean, it could just, for some people, because of like whatever kind of mouse sort of they use, it might be easier for you to use a grab tool in roll 20. I'm sure you're familiar with it, but you know the, okay, cool. Moving on.
Oh, I know grabbing.
Oh. That's why I woke up sore. That's why.
That's why.
No, so, my apologies. So, where's your plan again, this is outside of the conversation that you're gonna have with either the queen or her delegates. Was your plan to still try to push to like, no, we need to aid this revolution. We need to, instead of because obviously that's happening again down where I'm pinging on the maps, to try to aid them to maybe deal a little bit less with that over there, and have them go kind of like, have them kind of like come up and almost like take over this region of Yovance and use them as a buffer. Because the big concern we have is if your alliance with Yovance kind of falls. Let me actually do it on this one over here because it'll probably look a little bit cleaner rather than having those random number counter thingies. Let me just see if this is, I'm on the wrong map. So sorry guys, give me a moment. I don't think it'll show the number counter things if I do it this way on stream. No, unfortunately, it still does. So it's this region up here, where you're concerned about Paradel being able to come through, right? So, what's kind of like I'm going to draw on it instead. What's kind of like your plan for that? Because this is like what your actual task was. Free slaves, don't free slaves, whatever it is. The really important part about the task was protect Amulta, which is really like, oh, I'm using.
Yeah, protect that region there.
Yeah, protect this region of Malta.
I actually was thinking of saying that, something like that. Is that instead of trying to do this like where we're keeping Yovance in charge, be like, screw it, let's just have a full-on rebellion and have them try to take land their own, and then give an avenue for like any slaves to come, that they'll get freedom or whatever there, but they have to help defend or something. That was what I was going to bring up. I don't know if that's something, I mean, Laszlo, this is Josh bringing it up. Laszlo wouldn't bring that up. He doesn't think that way. But.
Yeah.
Because obviously, my apologies. The reason why I'm bringing this up, and go right back to you, Will, because I know obviously you PCs came up with a plan that stood outside of my original plan, but that's awesome. I love when PCs do that. It's meant to be an open world. But going into the conversation with the Queen, which we'll be doing next week, or her delegates, just so you guys have a focused plan of what you're going to present to them. That's why I'm bringing this up. So, Will, going to you, I'm sorry.
Well, it's actually what I was going to touch on as well.
Please.
Just from a perspective of like going and speaking to the Queen. One of the things that we've essentially seen is just to be honest with you, quite a bit of incompetence in Yovance, right? Like that's one of the things that we have seen, and it's stemming from essentially their systemic structure. So there is an argument to be made that like, we don't believe that even bolstering them could help at this point, because it wouldn't be effective. It would be a short-term solution and we'd still lose.
They're so stupid that it would bleed us.
Yeah, it would end up hurting Amulta ultimately more than it would end up helping. So
yeah,
that's essentially the angle in terms of convincing, I think, realistically. And like, I mean, Oscar can speak to that, but like, probably don't want him being the one to speak to it. But generally speaking, I think in terms of setting up a defense, having a Maltese-led defense along that stretch would be the intelligent move. And it means more of a redirection of forces and a redirection of focus. And I don't know, the thing is, and this is maybe more of a question is, we have soldiers based in those towns along the Maltese border there near Yovance, but essentially the Eastern Front is not necessarily on full force because Yovance is that buffer right now. And we've even seen, there's been a bit of, not laziness necessarily, but, lack of attention on those border towns.
So one of the big issues would be if they did, you got a bead on those towns. So hold on to that thought because that's a good thought. But the thing is, if this is a Maltese-led defense, like completely a Maltese-led defense, then that is changing the whole plan of what Amulta had, which was to not have to have a Maltese-led defense, that they can have their efforts and finances elsewhere and have your ally handle that for them. But continue, sorry.
So what I was going to ask is the relationship with Galdaria and the Northern Front. We've noted in previous sessions that the Northern Front is essentially it's your retirement stretch. It's your reward for not, for having a good career by going out and doing nothing for the rest of your career and the rest of your service and getting paid to do it. right? That's a lot of what it is. So what's the relationship with Galdaria, and how essential is that northern front by Amulti standards?
I can actually answer that for you, because you're obviously, you would know, especially since you're on the north for literally your backstory, right? So
Exactly,
the relationship with Galdaria is actually much better than one might assume, considering when you know that Amulta seceded, I believe is the correct word, when you break off from, seceded from Galdaria so long ago. It's actually pretty good. They actually are still technically allies, and have been since shortly after the secession originally happened. The issue is that they are allies in more word than actual action right now. And even though Galdaria, let's back up so viewers can see the whole map of the continent, right?
It's a significant stretch.
Galdaria is huge. It's not small. And Galdaria is known for having like the greatest archers and so on and so forth. Galdaria is massive. But the problem is, you can imagine, just like with everybody else, there's an incredible amount of pressure against Galdaria not to assist. So one, Galdaria is the only country that borders Paradel that isn't raided by Paradel. So you have Taziendale has had tons of its southern lands taken by Paradel, as seen. Yovance has had tons of its western lands and northern lands taken by Paradel, as you can see on the map. That's why it's the shape it is. The barren lands, nobody, because it's not a country. Eldamar, it has a ridiculous amount of magical defenses or whatever that are there because of like the trees and the fae and whatnot to live there, but they still friggin' cut down those forests and take what they can take, right? And then you have Amulta, which has the ice wall that exists between those two lakes to protect it, and blah, 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 blah. We all know that stuff. Galdaria is the only one that borders Paradel that isn't at war with them. So there's potential pressure, number one. Ascaria is the financial beast on the continent, and they border a lot of Galdaria and trade with them openly, freely, and have good allies. Cool. Galdaria is one of the very few nations that actually touch Eustace, where the gnomes are from. The Arcane Congress also controlled by the gnomes. The Arcane Congress and Eustace are not the same thing.
Right.
They're not the same thing. They just happen to have the same leader.
Separation of church and state. I get you.
They just happen to have the same person running both of them. That's just a weird coincidence.
Just happenstance.
Just happenstance. That person just seems to live a very long time. That's just... Don't look into it. You're just being confused. Moving on. And so that leaves Yovance left. So their only ally is Yovance there, because even though Galdaria is a friend of theirs, Galdaria can't, you can imagine, really... And they can't sour things with Galdaria. Look at that.
Right. They can't sour things. They're right in the middle of a whole lot of shit. Fair enough. Yeah. But the question that I have in terms of Oscar's knowledge of the interaction with Amulta and Galdaria, basically what I'm wondering is, would they allow troops through their borders from those other nations to Amulta?
It's a really good question. I don't know if you would know the answer. Why don't you actually go ahead and roll me a military lore check? For you, that might
it'll be intelligence.
Yeah, flat intelligence for you. And let me just affect the... Oh, no, you're good over here.
Oh, that was a painful roll.
Also, Scott, don't forget, we're going to have a conversation with Shard Boy.
Yes. No, I know that. Yes.
And he would know this.
He actually, that's a really good point. He would know this. That roll, is it not showing the total?
It's not showing the total, and I don't know why, but it
could be because it's Thursday night that the API is lagging.
Yeah. What I'll say is, if Oscar doesn't know, that is a question he would ask on the shard. So, which I feel like a 9 is probably not enough to know that.
No. So we'll if you want to write that notation down as something that you want to talk to the shard guy about. Yep. We're calling him Shard Guy. That's hilarious.
Shard Guy, also known as Doxy's father, also known as Chrysalin's father.
Yeah. Doxy, that's your dad?
Yeah.
Doxy, wait, does that mean you're like my brainchild?
I don't know.
Because if that's your dad and that character came from my brain, does that mean you're my daughter?
The whole world came from your brain, though.
You're the only one that's real.
Yeah, didn't you know that we're just figments of your imagination?
The whole world's fake.
God, that reminded me of the 90s. You remember the movies, the TV show Sliders? Or even Quantum Leap, where the door would close.
Doxy Sliders!
Hold on. What was that
Doxy
game?
almost did a thing. Sorry.
What was that game that it's such a stupid one. It's like Devil Cut or something. Anyways, terrible game, but the transitions reminded me. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Sorry, Doxy and I actually almost did a show with somebody else.
Still really want to do that.
I was gonna DM it. It was gonna be 2 PCs. I think 3 is generally my favorite number, but the whole idea is like literally every session was in a different world. It was very sliding. I actually have a whole overlay for it that's super cool that changes colors, and anyways, doesn't matter. Moving on. So Shard guy, we can have that conversation.
Yeah.
GURPS would be good for that.
Actually, I think GURPS is what we're Doxy. No, we were using a D10 system for that one because I didn't want to scare anybody with GURPS.
Not starts without number. What's
the D10 system, like White Wolf?
No, there.
Yeah,
dice pools.
I had your character sheets. Yeah. with
Sorry,
D10 dice
guys.
pools.
This chair is. I don't mean to keep getting really close. I am trying to kiss you, but this chair is super uncomfortable.
I feel bad for your transition right now, Josh. I feel really bad.
It's only temporary. It's
It
only
is
temporary.
only temporary. So Scott, basically my intention here is if Galdaria is not likely to allow troops through, adjusting our borders so that we don't have as many wasted troops in the north and bringing them down to the east would be the intention there to bolster our direct borders and also potentially help bolster the resistance. I'm gonna call them that for now. And then look not so much at the western border because the western border still has that presence and it would be valuable because it is going to have more of a presence with Iscaria as well compared to the northern border, and we don't trust Iscaria as much just because
Iscaria is 100% in the sheets with Eustace.
Yeah,
and again, for people that don't know the significance of those two, Iscaria, just that land happens to be where most of the magical reagents that naturally appear in the world appear on this continent. Not everything, but a lot of the important ones in great abundance. So since they have a huge export of that, Eustace, again, Arcane Congress, that's where most reagents are going to be filtered through. So Iscaria has lots of money and clearly in bed with them. Now I'm sorry, continue, Will.
What I was just going to say is basically like we wouldn't move the western border, any troops off of the western border or the southern border, but essentially readjusting some of the northern border because realistically Paradel moving through Galdaria is not the same as Eustace moving through Galdaria. Galdaria is, yes, fine with Eustace, and yes, Paradel is not currently invading them or doing anything, but I have a feeling they would be much more pissed off if Paradel came through than if Eustace came through. So the western border is more of a concern than the northern border, which is a more direct connection with Paradel, just in terms of the strategics there. And we would also have more of a time to adjust to the northern border if we needed to, if Eustace was coming through. So the intention would be to slightly adjust our troop distribution on borders.
I think using this preseason session to have like a really good conversation with the man in the mirror is going to really help you guys out going into season 2. So I'm glad that we're coming up with things to talk to him about and options. So if you come up with more, definitely let's either mention them or note them, and let's talk to that guy, as it's important. Well, so at least 2 of you will talk to him. One will be I gotta brush my teeth.
The talker.
The talker is not going to be there. That's okay though. This is a military conversation to some extent anyway, so it's fine.
Doc should be like, wait, you guys are about to start the call? I can't be here right now. I gotta go.
Something suddenly came up.
Oh, sorry, I have to water my goldfish.
I left my curling iron on the stove.
Yeah.
Okay, so another thing I was going to say is if we were going to try to do it where we create kind of like an annex zone where it's a new nation, right? And they're trying to take a piece from
Could you
Yovance.
do me a favor? Draw on the map where it is you're referring to, and then I'll stop interrupting you. Go ahead.
You won't, but okay.
Yeah.
So something like this. Something like that. Just a small piece. Right?
I don't see it yet.
Am I on the same map as you guys?
I hope so.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, there it
goes.
is. It popped.
Okay. Something just small like that, right? Where the freed slaves or any slaves that come from Yovance will be given freedom, can live there and they can create kind of their own nation. I mean, granted, that's just a rough border or whatever.
Yeah, that border, I'm just thinking, I'm so sorry, I'm going to interrupt you again. That border doesn't entirely work because of like, it doesn't have natural, like defensible spots. So it almost would have to be, kind of even if you went with that area there, we have to go as far out as the river, follow along the river and stay to the northern part of that lake that's right there, because you would have to have, again, some degree of defensible natural border that the people could hope to survive.
Like this to the lake, then up there.
Yeah, more or less. Like that would actually be more feasible, because then they're super exposed shore to the south, but not quite as bad as they otherwise would have been all around. I'm sorry, Josh.
I don't understand why we would make them start their own nation instead of just absorbing them into Amulta.
Because we don't want Amulta to be part, right? This isn't Amulta is the whole thing is Amulta is not trying to like fight with them, right? And if we do it this way, they'll have a battle against Paradise and a battle against their own nations, and Amulta could just kind of sit back and shadow fund it or whatever, right? And it's not Amulta directly. That's just my idea. If Amulta wants to just be like, no, this land's ours, but then that defeats the point of everything we've been doing, because it puts
then we just go to war with
right
Yovance.
on Perrin. Yeah.
Well, we also just go to war with Yovance, which is literally we just are at war on all borders except for technically the north and west border, which, let's be honest, that wouldn't last very long if we did that. Yeah.
But that's my mentality. I don't know if it's the best idea or not, but
Scott, how defensible is Ascaria?
How defensible is Ascaria?
Yeah, from the northern border, specifically on the eastern side, for no apparent reason. I don't know why I'm asking this. Don't worry about it. But just just for a hypothetical region, like I don't know, like say like right along this border, would you say how defensible are they?
Ascaria, while of course they do have an army and whatnot, because every nation does, Ascaria hasn't been known to fight a war in centuries.
Nobody wants to war with them because they have all of the magic.
Right, but we don't use their reagents.
Correct. You unfortunately, aside from the ones that are smuggled in, you don't really use their stuff. So it's one of those things where you do, of course, have soldiers that walk those borders because you have to maintain some degree of border.
Of course.
But you have forests to the south, as you can probably see on the map there. You have and that actually there's even a bit of forest that exists between the two rivers. And other than that, like it's plains, a lot of open plains that are there. So areas where it's highly defensible, areas where it's not as defensible. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But again, Ascaria hasn't waged war in centuries because they don't need to. They just drink wine and live happy lives.
They're rich and getting complacent.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we should invade Ascaria, but I am saying that might be an option we should consider, because if we cut off the reagents to the rest of the world, then all of a sudden we become the only magical power. And then the Congress no longer matters.
That means going to war with
everybody. Yes. With everybody.
Let's go from the defend ourselves at all borders to push.
Yeah. I'm just saying if we need a last resort, that might be, if everything else is failing, maybe divert all of our attention into Ascaria and just take it over.
That's funny.
Yeah, I don't think we can.
Oh, I don't think we can either, but I mean, this was a suicide mission from the start, to be fair.
I do think, okay, so instead of doing it way down there, can you guys see that line? I moved it up. That would be more realistic?
It's way more realistic. And just to reference on that Joey had said earlier in chat, I'm so sorry. So Joey had made a mention of how big Valorant is. So I'm just going to move the map for everybody to what the Kingmaker series, how big their kingdom is. It's realistically about 3 or 4, at most 5 of these hexes. So 4 to 5, I should say 4 or 5 of these hexes is realistically how big their nation is. On this scale versus the scale that they have in their campaign. So realistically, what you'd be saying is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 8 hexes. So 8 or 9, not that much bigger than Valorant is what you'd be looking at for national size. That's not that big of a place. That's actually a rather small chunk of land, and certainly a good start of a place. But
and meta-wise, Will?
Oh yeah, no, meta-wise, it's a terrible idea. I know.
No, like the war for those 8 hexes, lasted so long. Can you imagine a war with Ascaria?
Oh yeah, no. Oh no. Like that's like, look, if we're talking that's a 12-year campaign. So like, I'm not
the end of the war.
Good idea.
All the players, all the chat, even Scott were like, "Can we end this Please, can we just take?
Okay, if you want to talk about trump cards, that season of that campaign
Oh my god.
had almost a trump card a session. It was
That doesn't surprise me.
It was insane. Like this campaign's had 2, I think, and one of them gave you Lady Greyress. Like that campaign had almost won a session for an entire like 14 session season. It was insane.
Yeah.
But moving on.
So like I am joking about taking over Iscaria. I just want to be clear about that. I just wanted to let my inner Neil show for a moment there.
Neil wouldn't have done that. Neil would have been like, let's go inside and kill their leaders and leave.
Listen,
that is exactly what Neil would have done.
yeah,
That's true.
I'm sorry,
Pardon
but
me for still allowing my honor to be at play here. What a fool I was.
now that I've seen Hamilton, I won't lie. The King George, is literally Rayrin. It's like, I'm sorry. It's like,
Well, you're wondering what he based his character on. That's,
I might enjoy
I
it.
will
now.
send
Why not?
a holy, what is it? I'll send a fully armed battalion to remind you of my love. Like,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
that's fucking Rayrin. So, moving on.
But you know, I think realistically, yeah, annexing a small zone, but not as Amulta, using the forces and funding it is the way to go. I think that's probably our best bet for actually holding the area. But I do still want to know whether or not we can actually back that up with more Maltese soldiers on our eastern border.
Yeah, so you want to talk about drawing these lines on a map. So you'd probably get these maps and whatnot prepared before you spoke to Heathgart.
Well, we have the Amber, right? The Amber's
do,
there,
yeah.
and
Correct.
they're extremely intelligent. So
Savant. Sorry, I was trying to remember his title. Magister is the lower one. Savant is, yeah.
Savant Heathgart.
Sorry, I was trying to remember Savant Heathgart. So you probably have those maps and or whatever else you need to get ready for it. You're going to talk to him about the borders of Galdaria, the state of relations and whatnot with Galdaria, of course, and anything else that you'd want to bring up while speaking to him. Doxy, I know obviously you had a lot of skin in the game. I think while Oscar was the most aggressive when it came to I will not be dealing with slavers sort of a thing, your character very, very much was like, I back you up. Your plan is best plan. Let's do that plan. So do you have any opinions or approaches that you would want to do before we do this RP or whatever, or what you're kind of hoping for season 2 in the establishing these boundaries, freeing these people, saving Amulta, blah, blah, blah?
Kind of no. Like, I think that we're definitely, no matter what plan we go with, there's a lot of ways that the cards can fall.
Yeah.
I think that our smartest move is to not piss off the queen. Like, that is like the only thing that I am really aiming for, is not upsetting her, because Crisellin can go back to Iscaria and whatever, fine, she'll be fine. But Oscar and Laszlo are both like their fates directly rely on the queen.
With what you're saying there, because obviously that is important, just a slight mindset correction that would actually not probably come from me, would probably come from Laszlo. The queen herself is actually a very kind person. She's young, she's 16, right? She's a very kind person. By piss off the queen, it's the people around the queen that actually, like, you know, the court.
Piss off the cabinet, the court.
Yeah. But you're correct. It's just slight, because the queen herself, the problem is she's been, and again, Laszlo knows this because he knew her 10 years ago when she was 6 years old. He met her. He's borderline Uncle Laszlo. You know what I mean? So he would know that if you got her alone and could get her conversing alone, which probably would never happen, if you could get that to go, she'd probably agree with you. But when she's in court, she's going to be practice silence, practice stoicism. You know what I mean? Very, very, again, lack of better phrasing, practice a way of approaching everything that you guys bring to her table.
Absolutely.
And that's just, it's leadership, right? So, so that being said, Doxy, and of course, with whether it be your character's own intuition or Laszlo's kind of offering whatever information he had, would you have an approach to when and how you speak to her to kind of get sway? Because your character's the manipulator. Your character's
right.
Josh, it looked like you broke your neck because you started bending your neck and it skipped as a. I was like, oh.
I think that Chrisellen would be like, look, I've been among these people. They're no different than you or me. The only thing that separates them is circumstance. I think that it's important that we fund their rebellion and gain, hopefully, an army out of it.
I would also talk. I would have mentioned to Chrisellen about the non-dwarf dude, and his people, and how they are very magically gifted at birth, the way he was describing it and talking about magic, and that it might be beneficial for
I would
her
push
to
for an
open.
allegiance with them.
Yeah.
And the mushroom people.
The mushroom people is an important thing because, as previously described, they've been coming to the surface.
You fuckers, that they were important.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking told you.
Did I
because
say
come
that
to the
they
surface.
weren't?
Yeah.
You said that it wasn't worth pursuing.
At that, pointed that down.
You did make friends with one and actually aided him to the best of your ability given the circumstance that you were in, right? Like you
Yeah,
actually,
they're dead now.
They are very much deceased, but as far as we know, to be fair, we
don't even know if they died.
Maybe they made it out of that burning inferno that they made of their own magic shop that was compounded by magical explosions.
Not just one color, changed colors and everything. They said.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, no, I mean, like, I think you're dead right, Mallory. They're, the mushroom people and the weird stone sorcerers people, who's definitely not a dwarf.
The short guys.
The short guys.
Short and stout and good at earth magics. Yes.
Short.
Yeah, they're
and
humans.
Stout and
why are you guys being so weird?
Nice.
How would you like it if I just described you by your awkward features? Like William
Scott,
being
you do that
freakishly
literally
tall.
every day with me. What?
Because you're freakishly tall, okay?
I'm not that freakishly tall. I'm only 6'4".
I want to see you hug Josh. That would just make me happy.
Well, he'd be at my crotch.
I want to see me hug Josh.
Yeah, I think we all just want to hug Josh. Josh, we can do a side hug.
I am soft and cuddly. You know,
We can do a side hug
it causes.
so that it's not awkward for you.
You did move a lot closer to all of us.
It's fine.
Okay,
it's fine.
all right.
Especially me, Josh.
Just saying, one day I might just show up in that background. Just
That would be a fun recording. If you actually came over and hung out, we didn't tell anybody that it transpired.
Poke your head behind the.
No,
Scott
don't
and,
even
look
say
over his
anything.
screen.
Don't even say anything. Just sit at the table and read a book.
Yeah, or just come over and read over his shoulder and then just be like, oh, that's boring, and walk away. Yeah.
Anyways, so it's my brother.
Okay, so we're trying to push alliances with people, huh?
Yep.
I mean, how difficult do you think it would be to get Galdaria to man up? And by man up, I mean woman up mostly, and actually, put their money where their mouth is and start fighting with us on the war.
It depends on the different families. You know what I mean? Different courts. Like different people have different stakes in the game. So
I guess that's just the question: is how much do we know about that, and whether or not it's a useful avenue to even pursue?
Sure. So
that would legitimately protect two of.
I have cultural lore focus. I did walk through there.
You did walk through there. That's true.
But that was 10 years ago, and I didn't study there, to be fair.
Yeah.
No?
No, I honestly, it's one of those things where you guys wouldn't really know them all that well.
Okay.
You just wouldn't. Yeah. Because none of your characters really interact with them that way. I mean, even explicitly Doxy's character, well, she did have some interaction with Amulta. She intentionally didn't interact with them too much because she didn't want to run into her family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She didn't, and she did run into her family once anyways. Moving on.
Yeah.
So, that incident has been mentioned in multiple times in a different campaign. So,
yeah. Okay.
I do have an idea about that. And Lazo would say this to Oscar about Galdaria. Galdaria doesn't have to actually join the war or aid us directly. We could always say we're purchasing militia or mercenaries that they could be supplying, and then they're not directly helping us. They're soldiers of fortune, right?
Oscar would kind of respond, well, are there other nations that we could purchase military from as well? Because otherwise it looks pretty much like they're helping us.
Maybe Taziendale?
Maybe Tazian does.
Even Escaria might have people of fortune, soldiers of fortune, but I was thinking more of like we could talk to Calderia and it would just be...
yeah, no. I'm aware of what you
Yeah.
mean. I just more mean in terms of covering our tracks as well, so that we don't get Calderia in a bunch of garbage and end up having them get invaded by the Arcane Congress.
Yeah, I mean, Arcane Congress isn't a military.
Oh, no, of course not. They just have a military structure and a training structure and a military action group. No, of course they're not a military.
It's just the most efficient. They're just very efficient.
Right, they're a very efficient military.
I mean, the military's separate. Okay.
No, look, I understand what you're saying. But
everyone gets this wrong.
There's an administrative branch of our military as well. I'm just saying they are also still military. It's just there's a different part of it. And the whole structure is the military structure. They are a military structure, though they may have a military side and an administrative side / a magical side.
I mean, they're completely separate entities. I mean, it's...
Are they run by the same person?
Sorry, 1 second. I'm coming.
Yes.
Josh
And
loves
the
this
same entity.
old song and dance.
And I'm just saying, look, regardless, they have military structure, they have military procedures. But my point is, whoever of the Arcane Congress, whatever their branch that is military, that would come and fight, I don't want Calderia getting invaded by them, regardless. Right?
Yeah, I understand that. Plus, if we're doing it this route, the smartest move is for no one to know what we're doing.
Precisely, exactly.
And I think the person that could make that happen is... And I'll look towards Chrysellen.
I agree.
But I
missed
wouldn't...
that whole conversation.
That's okay. We'll catch you up.
Yeah, it's not.
You were brushing your teeth. It's fine. We'll catch you up.
I do that a lot.
Yes, I mean, well,
every time I grab the shard, she's gone. She doesn't brush her
it
teeth.
reminds her that she needs to go look in the mirror to brush her teeth. You see, it's just it's a Pavlov's dogs thing. Yes, he's here in this universe as well. Yeah, okay.
So that would be Laszlo's idea.
I think that's a perfectly good avenue to potentially get some aid, especially to then re-bolster our northern and western borders, so we could potentially actually redirect a lot of focus from our military away. I mean,
granted, Heathguard would have way more information.
Oh yes,
and like
absolutely.
If that's even a feasible thing.
Okay, so let's ask about potentially hiring soldiers. That's not how you spell soldiers. Soldiers of fortune.
I hold up the mirror. Mirror in my palm. Scott's having way too much fun with these videos.
Just actually,
one
thing.
Some bums sleeping on.
Yeah.
Hey!
How dare
that poll actually was in a perfect place.
Yeah, it was. Scott, I forgot to talk about one potential thing that I was going to do when we got to Brintel, because I completely forgot about this, and I read through my notes over the week, and I remembered that I was really close. I was on the cusp, as you put it, of learning the spell ward from Protection Magics at the Brintel Arceum Family Estate Library. I want to do that while we're here at some point, but that's just a total side note, so I can actually learn that second spell.
Make a note of it so we don't forget. Josh, we can definitely do that RP because it's super, super important. But I figure we can do that right after our break to kind of like get ourselves into the brain set of it, and then we can jump into it. So just maintaining with the out of game kind of chatter that we've mostly been doing for this. Can we talk about your actual character and the rules thing? Because one of my biggest complaints about this system, which we decided to continue with and not switch over to GURPS, one of the biggest complaints about the system is that it pones wizards hard. Josh, by level 20, would have like 12 spells. Like, it's so dumb.
Yeah, it's
bad.
Yeah, it would be somewhere around like 14, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's really bad. That's like
with the majority of them being the minor spells, because they only have like one journeyman and one master of each group. So the majority, like 6 or 8 of those spells, would be novice level.
Yeah, which is dumb. So we were looking at ways for you to be able to expand on that one, because we think it's done, because there's really no reason for limiting you, since most of the spells realistically just do a different type of damage. It's kind of lame. So did you have any thoughts on how it is that you want it to expand on the amount of arcana you can have and so on and so forth?
I liked your original idea of like studying it, and then I kind of grasp it, and that way it doesn't like you can control like what kind of flows in that direction. So there's kind of that way of gating it to not become too powerful. And then at the same time, I still have to spend the time to study it. So it is kind of like earning it. I kind of liked that.
The only downside to that one, while obviously I like the idea, it's mine, is that you, it's a time factor. As you said, how much downtime do you guys really have? And then if your characters are always focused specifically on that downtime, that removes your ability to do things like, say, Chris Allen has already asked you to do like 16 other things with downtime to help push forward the plot with Lady Greyrus and stuff like that, meaning you did no downtime for the other things that you wanted to do. So I'm still fine with that, absolutely. I just think it's one of those things where I think maybe during travel, we can kind of just assume that so much downtime is happening towards that versus the other things, like the active downtime, you know?
Yeah, like it would just be like while they're driving the cart, I could do it instead of, oh, you guys have a month off kind of thing. It's either that or, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be too game breaky, but I could maybe purchase spells with my mana.
Oh, hello, what?
Like deduct like whatever the cost of the spell is, purchase it from to learn it using my mana, so I would be permanently lowering my mana.
The problem with that is that, once again, I'm just thinking about like a high-level wizard using this system, having more spells but very little mana to use to use it. So it's either like a mastery of many but little versatility in the moment, or mastery of little but high versatility. Like you get that boom when you need it. It does kind of spell out the difference between a wizard and a sorcerer. So that being said, how much MP do you currently have?
52.
Pick a random top tier spell, like what is that, master level?
Yeah. Okay, so Arcane Void, because I'm on that page, it costs 18 mana to cast.
Okay, so you're 52. So what do you think mana would be for, say, a, I don't know, 12th level caster? Because you're what, you're 5th level?
I'm 5th level.
So if you were 10th level, would you be approximately double that? Or does it not work quite on that scale?
It would actually be higher because I'm going to add to my willpower every level. Like every chance I can get my willpower up to 5. And so that's an extra point each level as well. I don't know if it's retroactive. I don't think it is, but...
Is the calculation for mana, isn't it 5 times your willpower plus your intelligence? So every time you add to your willpower, doesn't it multiply your base by 5?
That's the starting point, is something like that?
Yeah, so
and then
technically
from there
it would add to your starting point, though, wouldn't it?
If it's retro, which I imagine it is, but...
It is.
It doesn't say. It doesn't say, but I think we've had this conversation
based in the Arcane Dabbler, based on how that works, I believe it is. But yeah, you're right. It doesn't explicitly say. It's just one of those things where it's like
somewhere we have to look it up.
You can interpret it, kind of.
Yeah.
So.
All right, cool. So why don't we, assuming it does retro, assuming you're gonna have a disgusting amount of mana, that's actually kind of a fine trade-off. I think, like learning the spell and then sacrificing the MP to learn that, because that's actually beneficial for people like, say, Doxy and Will as well.
Chuckle nuts.
Chuckle nuts as well.
Yeah.
Because you're what?
My wife scared the shit out of me.
What did she do?
That was great.
She just showed up. I was looking this way, reading the book, and then she was there. Sorry.
You know my pain, Josh. Like, one of the good things about staring at the screen this way, now that I have like the monitor, you guys are on here instead of here, is that if Brittany slides in over there, I can see it. It's like, hey, versus, you know? So, is she gone? No, she's not gone.
No.
Tell her to wave hi.
She's laughing. She's laughing now. They say
I will meet you soon. You can't hear me, but hi.
Yeah, you know how this works. No one talks to her. It's through me. No.
She gonna slap you? I hope she slapped
you. No.
Yeah. Anyways. Sorry, moving on. So back to what we were talking about. That actually works. Good for the goose, good for the gander, right? That actually works for Doxy and Will as well, because Will actually wants. We were just talking about a spell for him to learn, and in theory, other spells that he might be interested in, but he's always going to want a very small number of spells, and he never wants a lot of mana. So it kind of makes sense for him. Ooh, I sacrifice very little. What do I get for it? I have to be super selective. Doxy, how much MP do you currently have on your character sheet?
8.
And how much
In
does your
my-
spell cost when you cast the big boy?
3.
Okay, so you actually have a lot of mana compared to how much you actually do, and that number can only go up from there. So
Yo,
learning
if I
other-
could get just one more MP, then I would be able to cast Big Boy 3 times, and I'd be really happy.
or even more MP and sacrifice some of that permanently to be able to gain another spell or two that's super beneficial to you.
Did you
Doxy,
roll?
I think you. No, we don't roll. We just have the base with Arcane Dabbler.
Oh, it doesn't go up
So
anymore.
no, we don't go up at all. We only get the Arcane Dabbler. So we only get the base for mana. We don't go any further than that. So actually though, but if we're talking about it being retro, you did increase your intelligence because that's an off stat, right? So your intelligence is 5 now, so you would have one more because it's 5 times your willpower plus your intelligence. So you would actually get
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
5 times your willpower plus your intelligence?
Yes.
Then
Correct.
I'm up to 10.
Oh,
Hell yeah,
hey,
bud.
hey, Doxy, that's awesome. Thank you, Will. That was brilliant of you. Back to you
thank
then,
you.
Josh. If that's how theirs works, how does yours work in the system again? So sorry, everybody that's not familiar with the earlier part of this campaign. This system is new to pretty much everybody here. I like just using every campaign in different systems just because I hate my life. So we tried a new system for this one, and there are some hiccups that we're working through.
Yeah. So mine scales with my level. So like as I gain a level, it's just like HP I roll. I roll 1d6 plus willpower every level.
Which
Um,
you rolled a lovely 10. on
I-
this
I
one,
roll-
will say.
I-
That was really good.
What's your
Yeah,
willpower?
my will 4.
Yeah.
Oh, so you don't quite go the way they do. So if you
No.
roll a 1, you go up 5.
Mhm.
So let's assume, what was your level 1 amount?
It's 10 plus willpower plus a d6.
Okay, so let's assume your willpower eventually gets to a 10 because this system definitely allows that kind of thing to happen.
No, it doesn't. It
Oh,
doesn't. It can
what's
only
the
go to
cap?
5.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
And
it
then
takes 2
after
levels
at
to
like
add it.
level 11, then you can add another. Well, it did. Okay, it becomes exponentially more expensive.
Yeah.
Once you hit 5, it costs.
Let's assume a 6
it's
then.
double.
Let's assume a 6 then for level 20 for simplicity. So then that's 10 plus, so that's 16 plus, let's assume you always rolled average on a d6. So 20 d6 is 3.5 times, that's 70. 70 plus 10 is 80. Then you're adding, what did you say, your willpower every level?
Yep.
So it's just 6 times 20, right? So
That's
120. Yeah. That's a lot.
So you're looking
That's
at
like
200.
Yeah,
You're looking at
I was at
200.
3 for some reason. That's a ridiculous amount of willpower, and each spell costs, the bigger ones that you're talking about, maybe 18.
I mean, though, that one wasn't a damaging spell. When you start getting into damaging spells, they are a little bit more expensive, but not crazy more.
And
I think the
when you
highest I've
take a
seen was
5-minute
20.
rest, how much does it give you back?
Oh, 1d6 per hour or something like that.
Still, that's a pretty good recharge rate, all things considered. So, yeah, I think that doing a perma spends to gain is worth it to me. But then tossing to, I guess, everybody here, and this is chat included as well, because you guys have been on this roller coaster with us. How much you think would be a good MP perma loss for a gain of a spell? Obviously, the spells that you're gaining, you have to have access to that level of Arcana. Like, I think
That doesn't work then.
Please.
Because remember, to get into any category, healing, lightning, you have to take that as a specialty, as
I know that.
the magic tip. Okay.
No. So I'm talking about the novice level. You can just buy into.
Mm-hmm.
But then the what's after novice?
Journeyman.
Then journeyman, you'd probably have to have that tier, and then you could buy
I
whatever you
do.
want.
I do.
Of that Arcana, I mean.
Oh.
And
Okay.
then maybe
Then,
master.
yeah. The odds of me ever getting those Arcanas, though, I mean, it's fine. A novice tier is fine because that adds a huge amount of repertoire. It just doesn't add like the big booms and all that. Like counterspell is a journeyman spell.
In an Arcana you're already in.
No.
Ouch.
No.
So then,
Well, it's gonna be. I'm gonna
so
take it now.
what's your weigh in on the fact that, so what does getting an Arcana give you? Just the +2 to the roll?
Access to the first novice spells.
So it's just free
That's it.
spells. Okay.
Yep.
So you still get the free spells. So then what's your opinion on, so I'm saying that we should unlock novice, no question. And that there should be a cost to it. And we'll get to the cost in a moment. Do you think we should also, to a degree, unlock journeyman and then to a degree unlock master, maybe with a level requirement to be able to do these?
I don't think we should unlock master. I like the idea of them being specialty for that field. Like you're a master of this field or whatever. I think that's a fine limit. But journeyman, like the power tiers of the spells are kind of wonky.
They are.
They're not like super balanced.
Like look at Doxy. She has a first level spell and it more or less brings people back from the dead.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm a level 1 character. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're only dead for a couple of minutes. You'll be fine.
Yeah. So I think it's more of like we should just do it by case basis and not like a blanket rule of like novice and journeyman, because some of the journeyman spells like immunity to fire is pretty good, right? Versus the next one up, manipulation of fate. It just means that someone has to do a test against me and they fail a roll, and that's it. So I mean, like that's cool, but that's very specific. Like I have to know shit's going on for me to do that. It's limited use versus immunity of fire. That would have been very useful for Oscar not too long ago.
To be fair, resist to energy is a 2nd level spell, and protection from energy is a 3rd level spell in D&D. So you would have access to both of those by this level anyways. And if you're not familiar with protection from energy, which by the way was used recently on a Patreon session, just saying, it gives you immunity to 12 points of fire damage per caster level, up to 120 points of fire damage. So somebody may have had 108 points of fire immunity for a while there. So they're like, oh, I'm gonna throw up a wall of fire and just ignore it.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's stupid Patreon game. That was, dude. How long was that game on Saturday? It was so long. It was like 6 hours of one battle.
Brittany was like,
one battle.
She's like, what time did you go to bed last night? I was like, you don't want to know the answer. She's like, what time? I answered. She was like, you're an idiot. Yep.
So painful. So I think like journeyman and novice, I don't think it matters limiting them in that aspect. I think obviously if you see something that's too powerful, I completely agree with you being like, no.
No, but again, while master tier should have locks to it and they should cost a lot to buy, I almost think, and Doxy and Will, please chime in on this one. So the way that the system is specifically designed is, you know how you guys gain focuses as you go up in levels, you can increase your attributes as you go up in levels. He also gains, as like his class feature, arcanas. And the only way he can learn more magic is by gaining an arcana, which happens not to every level, it's every couple levels or whatever it is. So he has limited magic, right? We're saying once you get to a certain point, you can unlock the ability to permanently lose MP and learn a spell in exchange. It's kind of like your investment into the magics to gain, which I like the idea of. I'm thinking like maybe at level 5, so if you've already gone through the trials and tribulations or so, you can start sacrificing MP but then at level 11, you can start sacrificing to learn journeyman spells. Then at level, what would that be, +6? So like level 17, you start sacrificing MP to learn master level spells, and this adds to your repertoire of spells while pulling from your pool that you can cast from. It does still maintain that Dungeons & Dragons feel of sorcerers have limited spells, lots of times to cast, and wizards have many spells, few times to cast, referring to 3rd edition, not 5e. It's 5e's.
I don't like how much MP he's going to have to sacrifice to get more
We don't know how much it is yet. We haven't set a number, but go ahead.
Right, but like just using this model at all, he's going to have to sacrifice so much of his, like, what is the point of having new toys if you can't use them?
He'll be able to use them, just like, so like when you're playing a wizard in D&D, which is kind of like way I'm somewhat modeling this after, the person that has many spells versus a couple. When you're playing a wizard, you may have in your wizard's book or library 700 spells that you know, but you can only memorize.
I'm playing a cleric right now in an off-stream game. Like, I know.
Sure,
I know.
But you're doing a 5e cleric, which is hyper limited compared to other editions, right? So, because there's very, very few spells that that 5e even offers. But same idea. You have a lot of spells, but you can only memorize a few of them today. That's more or less where he would be. He has many spells, but he can only cast a few of them right now. He would actually have access to all of them, which is ridiculous. Because it's not memorization. He actually has access to all of them. He just runs out of mana or runs out of spell slots, same as any other system would allow. Yes, sir.
And don't forget that, like, in order for me to successfully even cast Scott, I have to hit the target number. So I could just lose mana on rounds just because I don't hit a target number.
Have you ever
It's not
failed
like
a target number?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
highest target number you would typically go against? Give me a
17.
Okay. And what do you roll against that 17?
Just do a
whatever,
couple test rolls real quick.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Yeah. But hold on, because what is the
It's straight intelligence because the roll is for that Arcana. So like
unless you have the focus, okay?
Yeah. So like enchantment Arcana, right? You might want to recheck the API and restart it, see if it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check right now.
What? That's 11 plus 4, which is 15 plus 2. That's 17. You just meet it.
I just meet it with this with the focus.
Yeah.
So like as we get higher in
good
level, they are harder to cast, which I do approve of.
So 17, and you would get access to master level. What's the lowest level you think you'll have access to a master level spell? I know it's just an example, but please.
The lowest level, like
lowest character level you would have access to a master
I could
level
get it
spell.
next level.
Which is level
6.
What would your intelligence be at that level?
My intelligence would go up
by 1.
No, yeah, it's either my intelligence or willpower. I haven't decided yet.
Okay, so let's assume intelligence then, for the sake of this. So then, if your intelligence goes by 1, it's a 5, and your target number is 17. Let's assume you don't have a focus because you'll be casting spells in theory outside of your focus. Wait, actually, that would be in your focus for that spell.
If I'm not mistaken,
No,
Josh, though, you would be getting it at level 7, not at level 6.
Is it level 7?
I believe so. I believe that the earliest you can get is level 7.
Either way, his intelligence would still apply. So it's to be a plus 5.
For sure.
So
well, no, technically I can get it now, right?
Oh, you can get it now. That's right.
Because
that's right.
it's a mana. I unlock a mana talent,
right?
Which I already have journeyman and enchantment.
Right.
I could get master.
Right.
So you would have to roll above average to successfully cast that spell at this character level. Obviously, at higher character levels, you'd have much easier thing. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of red on here. I'm gonna restart the API sandbox, and it should be good now.
Yeah, it's looking at 17 is the average for master.
Wait, cannot read property results of undefined period. Let's roll something for me to see if it kicked back in. Anybody, anything? Cool.
Yeah,
it's working now. Cool.
I rolled riding.
Haha. All right, moving on.
14's pretty good ride. I mean,
With
it's not
3
the
stun
best.
points.
It's not the best, but
No.
you couldn't flirt though while you're riding. You need a 4.
Need a 4.
Yeah, but he get lightning attack.
True.
Sorry.
Actually, now I can do the dual strike stunt for 3 rather than 4 stun points because I'm now a warrior level 5. So I can affect 2 targets rather than 1, as long as they're adjacent to me.
So well, I don't disagree. Sorry. Well,
No, it's okay. You can totally disregard that. That's fine.
Well, I don't disagree with your plan. I disagree with the levels. I don't think 12 and 17 are the appropriate levels.
11 and 17. What do you think would be?
I would say probably 9 and 13.
Okay.
9 and
That's fine.
Yeah, somewhere's around there because those are pretty high levels. I don't think we're going to be hitting those levels to begin with, but we might. Maybe 9.
We
But
might
you're
hit
already level
9.
5. Why would you not hit 9?
Because you tend to. I've played with you enough that you tend to like get to an appropriate level that you're like, oh, these people are having fun. I can challenge them, and then you stay at that level for a good bit.
Yeah, well, to be fair though, when you go up higher in levels, it should take longer to go up higher in level, right?
No, it should absolutely.
Because
The question is, by what exponential value should that time?
Because one of the things
increase?
I hate about like D&D campaigns or like when you watch anime, it's like the story moves on for like less than a year, and the character goes from like a piddling nobody to the greatest, most powerful person to have ever existed in the history of ever. And it's like, but like
they did a training montage, Scott.
Yeah,
they did a training montage.
Like 3 months passed. Like some of my best campaigns in game like literally like decades pass as the characters go from like level 2 or 3 to level 20, you know? But anyways, this is more difficult because we have multiple campaigns interwoven. Back to what we're going at. So Josh, obviously Doxy's concern is a legitimate concern, but at the same time, what are you paying versus what are you getting? You're right now getting nothing. And so it's you brought it up for a reason, because you're willing to pay something to actually get something. Otherwise, because if we just play with it as it is, you get nothing and you deal with it.
I'm looking at the math for some of these, because I'm looking at some of like the more expensive arcanas for the master level. What are your thoughts on doing 50% rounded down of the MP cost for the spell as a permanent cost?
Oh, that's an expensive cost.
Yeah, but I mean, some of the higher ones are like, I don't know, 24.
Jesus, he's saying lose 12 forever? That's like a really good roll on a 1 level up to gain that spell. What does that particular spell you're reading do?
Well, that's a good question. Hold on, I'll go back to the page.
Because to me, that's a...
I mean, some of the master spells are crazy.
Yes.
Like,
I want to hear...
I was thinking like 1, 3, and 5.
I was thinking more than that, but very close to that. I was actually thinking...
I was thinking based off of roll.
Okay. Well,
is it because Doxy? I was thinking like 3, 5, and 8. You know what I mean? So when he said 12, it was 50% greater than what I was thinking.
Oh, sorry. It was 20,
not.
It was 20, not 24. I should say. But
okay, so it's still costing 10. Very close to what I was thinking.
It was empower item. You can empower objects to make permanent magic items. You need to cast the spell 10 times and spend 25 gold pieces in materials to imbue a common item. See magic item chapter. Blah blah blah. Blah. These amounts are multiplied by 2 for uncommon items and multiplied by 5 for rare items, and times 10 for legendary items. Castings of empower item cannot be more than a week apart. Otherwise, you lose all previous castings for that item and must start over. I mean, and it takes 12 hours to cast.
More or less, you just stand around for a month, cast a spell a bunch of times, and bam, you get a powerful item. And Josh, that answers your question, by the way.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking up before.
That was the spell I was originally planning on taking this level. But I felt like I need more utility.
I agree with you, because we are lacking utility. Exactly, I agree with you. Okay, honestly, for that particular spell, that cost seems worth it to me, because you're making permanent items. Can we use another example? Maybe
let me see if I can find another example.
Well, okay, so while he's doing that, my thought was to do it based off of difficulty ratings and an arcana check.
Oh no! Sorry, my wife just sent me a thing. We were afraid of this because of course, global warming and the fact that we didn't really have a winter. It's July and we already have confirmed cases of Triple E.
Of what?
Triple E, you guys don't really deal with it over there. Triple E is it's a equestrian, more or less. It's a disease that usually only affects horses, but unfortunately sometimes it mutates and can affect humans as well. And mosquitoes transfer it horribly. And there's a lot of horses that exist around. Anyways, so usually winter kills the mosquitoes, kills the strain. We're good. But when you don't have a good winter in many years, it's been like 6 years since we've had a proper winter. This past year, I think I shoveled twice. Actually, that's a lie. I shoveled once or twice. My wife shoveled more than me by far. So anyways, but it was still practically not even a winter. And so, yay, it's gonna be way worse this year. More or less just means more dead people. More dead old people. Yeah.
Thanks. You bring me these news. I come to your house.
You're near Boston. You think you got horses in Boston?
Excuse me. I've seen a lot of. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
On this, the day of my daughter's wedding. So.
All right.
I found another example. If you want.
Oh, go ahead. Finish your.
Okay. Because I was just going to say Death Curse. Let's talk about Death Curse. Also 20 MP. You invoke a deadly curse upon your enemies. Choose either a single target or a 5-yard radius area within 50 yards of you. If you target a single enemy, they suffer 2d6 plus willpower penetrating damage immediately, and 1d6 plus willpower penetrating damage at the start of each of their turns. Additionally, they cannot regain health by any means while the spell lasts. If the target makes a successful Constitution Stamina test versus your spell power, they suffer only 1d6 penetrating damage per turn and can regain health as usual. If you target an area, living creature that enters or starts its turn in that area takes 2d6 plus willpower penetrating damage. If the creature makes successful Constitution Stamina test versus your spell power, they suffer only 1d6 penetrating damage. The Death Curse lasts for rounds equal to your willpower, but for 10 MP, you can extend its duration an additional round at the start of your turn as a free action, meaning that this spell costs 20 MP to initially cast, and then you can indefinitely cast it for more with an additional cost of 10 MP.
I mean, honestly, that spell does not sound that frightening compared to like D&D spells.
If you fail the saving throw on the single target, that sucks, because not being able to regain health at higher levels is a nightmare.
There's like 6 spells in Pathfinder that stop you from being able to
heal. Don't get me wrong. Pathfinder is also a nightmare. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying this is the only spell in this system that does that.
Yeah.
As far as I know, this is the only spell that can do that kind of affliction.
So I think your idea of half the cost is too expensive. But I think Josh's idea of, I think you said levels 9 and 13.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
9 and 13, I think sound fine.
My booty.
So then I think 9 and 13, that's a 5-point difference. So then what's 5? So 4. So 4, 9, and 13 would be the unlocks for somebody of this class, which I'm fine with. I don't know if you want to write that down, Josh, because that pertains to your character's level up. And then the cost for actually buying these, write it down. And then the cost actually buying these spells. Doxy and I both agree that is a lot. Doxy was thinking for first level spells only 1. I feel like 1 is super cheap.
But they're first level.
Yeah, but there's also
some of the first level ones are really good.
But there's some powerful first level. And Josh, have you ever come near losing all of your MP in a combat?
No.
You know, and you were
last
throwing
combat,
magic like every round last combat. It was a lot.
I've been using a lot of magic items.
That's true.
Not using my own magic because I don't have a lot of attack. I don't have a lot of attack spells. I didn't play him to be that.
But you will also be able to continue to use a lot of items moving forward as well. So I'm thinking, and again, this is just off the cusp, people's opinions on this one. I was thinking for the first level spells, Doxy was saying 1. I was originally thinking 3. I was saying 3, 5, and 8. I like the idea of a bigger step going to the higher ones.
The master one?
Yeah, because they're more expensive.
I like 8 for the master. I like 8 for the master. I would actually say probably 2 for the first, and then leave the middle at. I wouldn't say 5. I would say 4 personally. But
yeah, I like the doubling, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
2, 4. Okay, it's clean. Yeah. It's pretty.
Yeah.
Okay. 2, 4, 8. Yeah.
Well, my original idea, and I kind of like that better now, but was that you could set the challenge, and if I beat it by a threshold or more, then it becomes cheaper. And I was thinking like there's a starting cost of 50%, and it becomes cheaper if my roll is better.
I love that.
There should still be a minimum cost.
Is it a gamble?
Yeah. The minimum cost, like no matter what, is going to be 50%. Right, and then like if I'm one step above, it's slightly cheaper. One step above that, it's slightly cheaper, and then that way
the maximum
cost is 50%. But like, yeah.
The maximum. So the minimum saved. The minimum saved.
The DC that you're setting would probably have to be appropriate to limit it to the absolute minimum cost, right? So like for an easy check, you know, it's
I would assume
much over
novice would be average, challenging, and hard, and depending on my rolls from there.
Like degrees over it, that would allow you to get cheaper. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like for each notch above, we can take off 10% or whatever's easiest for the math.
That's a lot of math, more than 248. I'll say that.
Yes, it is. I do like 248 though.
Because to be real, like if you're talking about degrees above, like a novice, when you're saying an average check, which is what, 11? Yeah, average is 11.
Yeah.
So like if you roll your intelligence, and it's arcane lore, presumably that you would be rolling, right?
Yep.
And if you roll arcane
lore, I don't know. I feel like what I'd rather say is if it's inside of an arcana you already have, it costs half as much. If it's outside of an arcana you have, it costs the numbers that we just said, and then just leave it that simple.
Okay.
Right.
So
that's
you're saying 1, 2, 4 for in an arcana you already have.
1.
Because
you're talking about double. I'm
2,
talking
4,
about
8.
Or
2, 4, 8 outside of the arcana.
Yeah.
And then for inside the arcana, I would say something like 1, 3, 6. You know what I mean?
Why
'Cause
you
you
make
wanna-
it difficult? You said half, so it'd be 1,
did
2,
say
4.
Oh yeah,
It would be
sorry,
1, 2,
1, 2,
4.
1, 2, 1, 2, 4. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
For inside of an Arcana, you have
That's neat.
Yeah,
And-
okay, that's fine.
Because you have a
And
very
when-
limited number of Arcanas that you get.
And when can these purchases be made, and how often can they be made? Because that's something that is maybe a point of discussion as
You
well.
would have to have access to the magic to make it something that you can do feasibly with just like studying it and learning it. If you don't have access to the magic, I think that's when it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you're gonna have to do one of the, what are they called? The elongated rolls, the challenge rolls.
Yeah. That
I'm
makes
just trying to
sense.
find the official name. Because more or less it's kind of like your character inventing the spell, which by the way,
Yeah.
I'm always fine with inventing spells. Advanced tests.
Advanced test. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That makes
Where they
sense.
count the stunt points on
So like
successes.
going to the RCM and spending the time with that book, basically I will be spending 2, because it's a first level spell, 2 MP to get that permanently.
But don't you have
Yeah.
power? Isn't it power?
I do have power. This is not a power arcana. It
Oh,
is a
I thought it was
protection
power.
arcana. There is one in power arcana, which is different. I do have the power arcana, but I don't have that. I have the arcane specialist, which I don't know if that actually gives me the power arcana or if it just gives me a spell from the power arcana. Hold on. You gain 1 novice spell from any arcana, so I don't have that arcana either way. So
Yeah,
either
I
way,
don't
would-
think you guys would if it's based off of the focus, because you don't get the focus into journeyman.
correct. Yeah.
Um.
So no.
Jesus God.
So
Oh, that was sweet.
So in the power arcana there is a spell, but it's not in the other one. It's in this one. Hold on. Because there is a spell ward in power arcana that's a novice spell, which is different than the spell ward that is in the protection arcana, which is in the companion. It's very confusing.
I think one adds a difficulty to it, the other one adds a plus to you or something.
Yeah, this one, spell ward in the power arcana, is essentially what my marked Venator stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really no need for me to double up on that.
Yep. So
Whereas
anyone within 4 yards of you gets a +2. Yep.
It does like extend that energy to the people around me, which I think is kind of cool, which is something that we didn't necessarily, talk about before.
Yeah.
Because it's basically myself and one target around me within 4 yards gets a +2 bonus on all tests to resist spells until the end. Like it's literally just me. It would be me extending the power.
You and
of the
your
magic we
ward.
have,
I gotcha. Yeah.
right.
So would this
Um,
book, the wizard book we have, count as something for training? Or
I
no?
would say no because it's Arcane Congress magic
Yeah,
versus
okay.
the Maltese magic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. And as for selling that book, it was like a lower level wizard's spells. So who is going to be the person trying to sell this in what's that place called again?
Rintel.
Retail, thank you. I couldn't get to my map in time.
I have to figure out where she is. Okay. Here.
Chris Ellen is what he's saying. I don't know where you are.
Chris
That
Allen's
way,
right here.
probably.
No, we're in a line. We're all
I'm
on top of
up
each other.
For you.
Yeah.
Oh, we're on the map view. I can't see the stream crash for me, so
This is the bunk beds.
Oh,
bunk
oh,
beds.
sorry. Hold on. I'll lie down.
You want me to lie down
What do we
again?
need from Chris Ellen?
Oh,
To
you're gonna be
sell the
selling
wizard book.
something.
Oh,
Yeah,
do
the
you
spell book.
want me to roll bargaining then?
Yeah, so the question is when you go to Brintel and trying to sell this, you're in Brintel and it's an Arcane Congress book. So it's a matter of, are you trying to sell this to somebody who's like what kind of person are
Why
you trying to sell it to?
Why would we not try and sell it to the RCM family estate library? Like, why would we not try and sell it to the RCM family? Or the ACM family? Hold on, I have notes.
I'd like to roll to know
RCM.
whether or not I would know who to sell this to. Like,
Yeah, you can make a roll for that. Give me one second.
communication, intelligence, perception,
1 second. I'm looking right now. This almost
empathy, maybe?
no, because this is like knowing, right? So it almost feels like a cultural lore thing. Like who would be interested in this kind of thing based off the culture of these people? Cultural lore.
So flat intelligence then.
if nobody has it for here.
Can I help her? Because I have a thing in that.
Well, you can also make the decision, and then she can go do the talking.
Yeah,
so you can roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Use your
It's
vest
also
for
a
it.
lore, so I get to reroll.
Oh, you bluffer.
But
Hell
Jesus.
Do you get to reroll? and
I
take
get
a better
extra.
result?
No, I take the second. I get extra information because it's a lore check. Because my scholar.
You know that somebody like the RCM family would certainly pay top dollar for it because they're interested, or top coin, whatever, for it, because they're interested in collecting things like this as seen inside the library, right? However, you also do know that there are others that would be interested in having this this book for other reasons. Perhaps people that would be rivals of theirs on the market. The market, not necessarily black market, because I don't think your characters would ever go and look to sell something on the black market. But, you know, rivals of the RCM family that have their own collection. Somebody that might be willing to pay just to keep it out of their hands. Which characters be leaning towards the RCM family or away from it?
We've had good dealings with them in the past.
I would say we'd lean towards them, and
Always the goodly characters.
If we can try to work in that, maybe we have access to their library.
Doxy, we need a bargaining roll from you.
Okay.
That would be my suggestion. Is to try.
I would
us having
agree.
access to that is
Yeah.
super important. Oh, fuck.
Ooh, baby.
Jesus. How does that work too in the DCs again?
That's imposing. Next to nigh impossible.
I mean, do you want to luck it just to see if you can get the nigh impossible?
Did I?
I mean, like,
yes,
yeah,
do it.
yeah.
do
If
it.
we've got luck, I mean, just to make sure that we're doing, you know,
This
getting
is a
top
learn-
Yeah,
dollar.
I'm
a
not
long term.
stingy.
It's nigh impossible.
Nigh.
It was our last luck die though, so be careful in the future.
We could use help chat.
Yeah. No, but
Oh, I got from
Daddy
Summon Steak.
Ubu?
I got Daddy's dice and it says no luck for you.
honestly fair. But yeah, so that's a nigh impossible on that bargaining check. Do we have permanent access to their library now?
Hold on one second. I want to tell you how much money you get from it.
Oh gosh.
That's
Right,
so
money.
good. I
Right,
forgot
there's
the money part.
I forgot there was money. I just want access to the library full time. But money is better. Maybe. Probably.
Yeah, one library card, please.
Please and thank you. One library card for me.
One library card $.
We all take that awkward picture, like,
Yeah, Oscar just
don't
somehow
have
looks
to
like a
take-
total gremlin in the photo.
You don't have to take pictures here. But you know,
Oh.
Kristalin would straight look like an angel. Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
right?
And then Oscar's like this.
yeah, picture.
So Traveler's
Oh, we're
Tome.
doing photographs.
So Traveler's Tome, which has access to second level spells in it. This didn't go beyond second level spells, I don't believe.
Just in
No.
case.
Let's see. We would say it's a value for Chris Ellen to sell it. Would be let's make it a clean number for you guys. 410 gold.
What is that divided by 3?
Not
Not a
divided
clean
by
number. Not a clean number.
It's not a
Okay,
clean
do it
number
with.
at all.
I'll keep the remainder. Find the closest divisible by 3.
There you go. 410 divided by 3. So 136 each. And then someone gets a
3.
gold.
Or, yeah, an extra. I'll have 137. You guys each take 136.
Because I'm worth it. But yes, access to their library and whatnot as well.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that's awesome.
I am up to 142.
That book, by the way,
Or
was listed at
1,142.
365. So I did give you more gold, as well as,
That's
of course,
pretty good.
the big access.
I mean, literally,
You
we
should have
stole it.
138, Mallory,
no,
because
sir, you
there's
don't understand.
because it's 0.66, so there's $2
Yeah.
left over, not one. I
Technically
say dollars.
0.8.
Yeah.
but-
Well,
but it doesn't matter. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
Will?
just take 2.
Will, this is directed at you.
Yes.
Memitim gave a luck die, which I don't usually
Oh.
announce, but gave a luck die, but he specifically said, these are for Unfunny and Doxy and nobody else. So I would like it if you're the one to use it, because fuck
oh,
Mem.
okay.
Okay?
All right. Hey, thank you. Thanks, Mem. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Fuck me in particular, I guess.
So let's do the shard conversation.
Yeah.
Well, because I don't think there's anything else we had to do leading up to this. Because I like the rule of if it's in an Arcana 1, 2, 4, if it's outside of an Arcana 2, 4, 8, permanent loss to be able to get that. I like the fact that we're allowing you to get that you have to have some degree of exposure or access to the magic to be able to learn it. Otherwise, it takes a long period of time to do so. I like all those rules. I like the plans you guys came up with, but I think we should take a break before we have that chat.
That's a good idea.
There's just one more thing is we talked about, I mean, we'll do this when we get back to, but we talked about me starting to study on a trip the wands I have, because they're supposed to be my in if we're still doing that. Okay.
Yeah. So that would give you kind of, again, what we were doing with those wands was giving you access to those spells that come out of the wands. So that's more or less just giving you, hey, exposure.
You have exposure, so you're not dealing with the advanced test, I guess. Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Even though he's been doing the advanced test the whole time. Fade to break. Bye.
Fade to break.
Bye.